The champagne flutes clinked in crystal harmony, laughter rang like hollow bells under chandeliers, and the white rose petals scattered along the marble easel looked like snowfall frozen in time. But beneath all that polished elegance, beneath the string quartet and curated smiles, I was burning with disbelief, humiliation, rage. I sat at the mother of the Groom table, my dress hand sewn from Italy, pearls weighing down my neck like a chain, watching a boy I had raised like my own twist a knife into my back, in front of 400 guests. He was beautiful, no doubt about it. Even more so now in a tailored tuxedo, standing beside his blushing bride beneath the arch I had paid to have imported from Florence. My name wasn't listed on the program, not in the speech. Not in the acknowledgments. I wasn't even seated at the front. No, that seat was reserved for her, the biological mother who walked out when he was 5 and came crawling back when she caught wind of a black tie wedding. But that wasn't the worst part. No, the worst came when it was time for the toasts. Elliot, my godson, my late sister's only child, the boy I'd poured my soul and bank account into, took the microphone, grinned like a devil in deer, and said, "I just want to thank everyone who made this day possible, especially my new in-laws who helped with the planning, unlike others who just threw money at it and expected applause." People laughed. He laughed. Even the damn photographer chuckled as he snapped a picture. I stared at him, mouth slightly parted. My wine glass trembled in my hand. No one looked at me, but they all felt me. That tight-lipped smile. That stillness. I had given that boy everything. And he mocked me in front of strangers and royalty alike. And then his uncle took the microphone. Elliot's father's older brother, Jonathan Sinclair. A quiet man, never loud, rarely warm, always watching from the corner of a room, like he was waiting for people to show their true colors. He stepped up to the mic with the slow grace of a seasoned lawyer, and a past full of secrets. His voice cut through the room like dry ice. "I wasn't planning on speaking today," he said, adjusting his glasses. "But I think something needs to be said before this night goes any further." People shifted in their seats. "Elliot, my boy, that little speech of yours, witty as it may have been, was disgraceful." A gasps, audible gasps. Elliot's jaw twitched. Jonathan turned, scanning the crowd like a judge from an old court. "Most of you don't know the story behind this wedding. You see the glamour, the flowers, the live harpist in the foyer. But you don't see the decades behind it, the woman who raised a boy not her own, who took him in when her sister died, and her brother-in-law drowned himself in scotch. You don't know what Olivia gave up. That was my name, Olivia. And for the first time all night, 400 heads turned toward me. Let me take you back. My sister Caroline was fire and glitter, married a man with charm and no spine. She had Elliot young and left him with me more often than not. Girls' trips, emergencies, yoga retreats that lasted months. When she got sick, I stepped in full time. When she died, I didn't think twice. I had no husband, no kids, just a Manhattan apartment and a closet full of power suits. He was 5 when I became his guardian. I was 32. I traded late nights at the firm for parent-teacher conferences. Learned how to bake cupcakes with gluten-free flour. Stayed up helping him with algebra when he was too ashamed to ask the tutor. I worked until I could afford a brownstone with a backyard so he could have a dog. Paid for therapy when the grief finally hit him at 12. Saved for his college even when I had to skip vacations. I thought we were close. I didn't see it coming. Didn't see how resentful he'd grown of being a charity case. Didn't realize how easy it was for his mother's memory to be romanticized. How villains always wear pearls in someone's story. Back in the ballroom, Jonathan continued. Olivia didn't just pay for this wedding. She raised the groom. She became mother, father, mentor, protector. And I've stayed silent too long watching her be cast aside for a woman who disappeared for a decade and returned with a facelift and crocodile tears. Gasps again. He wasn't wrong. Elliot's mother, Caroline, had been dead 10 years. But Margaret Elliot's biological mother had come back into his life at 22, claiming regret. She'd always been charming, prettier than me, softer. Elliot forgave her. I never did. Jonathan stepped down from the stage after a nod in my direction. If you won't give Olivia her due, he added. Then I will. Silence. Then applause. Scattered, then swelling. It wasn't a movie moment. No one stood. No orchestra swelled. But it meant something. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. That night, the bride refused to speak to me. Elliot half-heartedly apologized with that fake smile I'd learned to decode years ago. But I left early, dignity intact, heels echoing down the marble corridor like punctuation marks in a sentence I was finally rewriting. I didn't speak to Elliot for 6 months. But let me tell you what happened next. Because this isn't just a story about betrayal. This is a story about becoming. 3 weeks after the wedding, I quit my job at the firm. I opened a foundation for women raising children not their own. Grandmothers, foster mothers, stepmothers, women like me. It exploded. I started speaking on stages, podcasts, books. I told the story not with bitterness, but with clarity. I didn't name names. I didn't have to. People recognized their own pain in mine. I met women who had been erased from wedding photos, who paid tuition but weren't invited to graduation. I met heroes. Elliot reached out eventually, sent a letter, then an invitation to dinner. He was different. Marriage humbled him, maybe. Or maybe he'd finally read the scrapbook I gave him at 16. Filled with his drawings, our road trip photos, the note his mother left before she died. The one where she asked me to love him as my own. He cried that night at dinner, said he'd gotten lost, that he wanted his real mom to be proud. I told him I already was, but I also told him something else. Respect isn't owed by blood, Elliot. It's earned through gratitude. He nodded. We're still rebuilding. Slowly. Carefully. But with honesty now. And that's what I want to leave you with. Whoever you are, wherever you're listening from, maybe you've been the forgotten one, the backup parent, the one who pays, supports, sacrifices, but never gets the spotlight. Maybe you're tired of being invisible. Let me tell you this, your love is not lesser just because it wasn't praised. Your worth is not diminished just because it wasn't acknowledged. And sometimes, it takes one voice, one unexpected ally with a microphone, to remind the world who really showed up. I was mocked at a wedding I paid for, but I walked away with my pride, my power, and eventually my peace. And no one can take that from me. Not even the groom.